Good day. Thank you for joining me again for the weekly Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. That royal visit just won't fall out of the news, nor will comments of the opposition leader Mark Golding made in Westmoreland about squatting. Well, you'd also expect us to deal with hairstyles and lockout, and food prices too. But before all that, let's go to the Sunday newspapers. So the Sunday Observer leads with living under the gun. Children living under the gun. The paper cooperates with Rise Life Management, an advocacy group, and takes us into central Kingston, the Parade Gardens area. Tough community. It focuses on the story of the children. They bring together 9 children who tell us of their pain, having to duck and get under their beds when there are gunshots, having to be unable to study, just wanting peace in their communities, and of children knowing adults, close family members and friends who have been cut down by the violence. Romardo Lyons does a great job on this story. So he brings them together and they tell their own story. What I like in particular was this sidebar, this part about the wishes of some Parade Garden children. Their wishes, what they really want. And you know that the top comment, they just want peace. That's all they want. Peace in their communities. The Sunday Observer has some other very interesting stories. For example, there's one about late garbage collection across several Kingston communities. And that is just a continuing problem. But you know what won't go away? This matter of opposition leader. HG Helps puts it this way. Golding flops Westmoreland squatters. Now here's an interesting line from Mr. Helps. By making people believe that land is theirs when it is not, is like being an accessory to an awful act. We can no longer accept, he says, disorder or a fistful of votes. Now Garfield Higgins dedicates his 2 pages of his column to the matter, Beware the Harbingers. And you know, he takes on not just the squatting, but Mark Golding's comments earlier that he's a socialist and he is working on the idea whether this is what socialism is about. It's an important read of an important issue. Now the Sunday Gleaner leads with sugary drinks still flowing. Schools, health facilities disregard ban on beverages high in sugar. Now that's an important health story. And the Gleaner sets its investigative team out on this story. So it's page 3, its main news page, is dominated again by that story. Sugary drinks still flowing. And it goes on, the sweeter the better. Now this story by Corey Robinson tells us part of what the issues are. That vendors at the school gate, you know that phenomenon. Vendors are helping to keep pushing sweet drinks and sweets at the school gate. Now the Gleaner's investigation is broad-based. So it looks at some institutions, schools, as well as some health facilities. Well inside the Gleaner is this story about the royal visit. $8 million royal visit. And it's an interesting story because it not just gives that amount, and it's an interesting story because it raises the issue of whether we were given all of the information up front or whether some hanky-panky went on. It quotes the Minister of Information giving some details. That is Robert Morgan. And right below that story, is the continued pain of violence. Friends slain in Bedward Gardens, triple murder. And in this one, and the Observer also reports that story, it appears that these are innocents. 3 young men shot dead on Saturday morning in Bedward Gardens. And it's just one more of those cases of tit for tat carried out by waste men in Jamaican society. And please take a look at, if you can, at the Gleaner's editorial. It It raises the issue of the two recent reports, the one about early childhood education and the failure of compliance, and the Patterson report. And the Gleaner makes the point that these two reports must seriously be discussed now, and we could possibly start the repair from the point of view of early childhood education. That's the papers. Sometimes we might reflect on how others see us. Early in the week, BBC and later Sky TV in the UK carried some beautiful pictures from parts of this tropical paradise. Indeed, the BBC carried the caption with the video, "Paradise Found." The pictures came at the top of a story in which Jamaica's tourism minister, Ed Bartlett, was being interviewed. Mr. Bartlett and a team is on a worldwide marketing blitz to drum up tourist arrivals for Jamaica following COVID-19 slamming of the industry. Now here's the first part of that interview, which did credit to Jamaica.
Now think of holiday destinations, and Jamaica may well be high on the list. Blue seas, golden beaches and a vibrant culture. But the pandemic and the travel restrictions hit Jamaica's tourist industry hard, meaning huge loss of jobs, businesses and earning. In the UK, as part of a global tour to mark the 60th anniversary of independence in Jamaica, the Minister for Tourism, Edmund Bartlett, is keen to tell the world his country's open for business. Edmund, good to see you. Firstly, why should people choose Jamaica over anywhere else that may be high on their list?
Jamaica is the finest country with hospitality culture, beautiful geophysical features, wonderful people, and the greatest asset of all for us is our people. This wonderful mix of ethnicity and cultural strains that cover almost every nation and nationality on earth can be found in Jamaica. Our motto, "Out of many, one," people, makes the point. It makes it extremely clear that you have a place in Jamaica and you can find yourself there. So that's your oyster. Enjoy it.
Edmund Bartlett, Minister of Tourism for Jamaica. Thank you for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
That's Ed Bartlett. So what do you think? Desmond Richards comes in on the royal visit, and even more seriously, on how much was seized in that largest ever drugs money haul. Is it really 600 million or is it 700 million, as was being rumored?
One of the big news items in Jamaica last week was that we spent 8 million covering the recent royal visit to Jamaica. 4 million of which was spent providing food at King's House. While this lavish spending was taking place, many of us find it difficult, and I still find it difficult, providing food for ourselves and our families. And to date, we have had no timeline when we are going to abolish the monarchy. The Prime Minister and the government seem inclined to continue clutching on the curtail of Her Majesty. And there is no decisive plan, at least not as yet, to provide land for hundreds and thousands of sons and daughters of former slaves who slaved this country. Nothing. While we are still on that question of money and official statements of money, we must remember that we were told that it would cost us nothing, not 1 cent. Another lie to the official list of lies told to this country. Last week, the police reported that they've seized one of the largest sum of money in their crime fighting, in the history of their crime fighting activities in the country. $554 million. Now that's lots of money, massive in any language or currency. But I am not joining the official cheerleading and heaping praises on the police, at least not as yet, because I have some questions. Initially, the police reported that they seized 5 million and they were still counting. This figure climbed to 7 million. And then it collapsed suddenly. And remember, we are talking about US dollars. It collapsed suddenly to 3.8 or thereabout. Now, there is something wrong about this. Who supervised the counting? Who verified the number? And who were the first set of cops who visited the scene? Were they under supervision? We need some clarification on this. We just can't swallow hook, line, and sinker what the police are saying about this matter. And where are the big fishes? This is clearly a transnational drug operation. To date, we are told that suspects are held. Who are they and where are they from? Now, we want answers to these questions because we have an history of official lies in this country. I will hand out my bouquets when I have answers to this and many more questions.
That's Desmond Richards, journalist and businessman. Now to Frankly Speaking, the commentary. Hairstyles and grooming generally have come up again as a standing in the way of education of our children. And some say the reactions to hairstyles hearken to colonial days when the black man was not expected to delight in his hair. The latest episode was at Kingston College last week when some students were reportedly locked out of school over their hairstyle. The principal has since said that's not true. Frankly speaking, let me straight away say that students sent to school should not be locked out of the gate as punishment or as part of school administration procedure. Frankly speaking, whatever needs to be done can be done and is better carried out with children being in school where their parents expect them to be. Frankly speaking, almost every time a school takes action to have compliance with its rules, there's a brigade that immediately goes into overdrive, condemning without regard to the specifics of that situation and without regard for the need for discipline. Schools are places where not only English, geography, math, and chemistry are learned, but also where students are socialized to follow rules. God knows, there's enough indiscipline in Jamaica to go around, frankly speaking. That discipline and following the rules ought to be high in the interaction between administration and students, and among students. Even the very uniforms we have as part of the Jamaican system reminds us that some levels of regulation is needed in schools. Every child can't wear his Sunday best to school because it's the brains that matter. Every child can't come with whatever head covering he wishes, when he wishes, because it's the feeding of the brain that matters. Frankly speaking, we have to get with it. We adults have to allow children to ask what and how, and indeed even oppose the rules. But we have to make them know the rules are important. The rules matter. Frankly speaking, we haven't provided the environment to make them understand order and the importance of rules because of how we allow them to be transported, because of what they hear in the buses, because of the way they see disorder in the public spaces, because of the lack of discipline in so many places. Don't they too believe that people can play their music at whatever decibel level, whether at 4 in the morning or at 10 at night? We adults must get the lessons first, that our schools have enough problems already not to bring more indiscipline to their doors. Now to our Outlook section. This is $612 worth of saltfish. Yeah, $612 worth of saltfish. That's $4 US. Now look here. Food prices are crushing in Jamaica. The price of saltfish is now between $800 and $890 a pound at supermarkets I have checked in St. Ann. With the minimum wage at $9,000, it would take nearly half a day's work to buy a pound of saltfish. Now, I'm one of those who enjoy the national dish, but I can't say I believe imported saltfish should be part of it. What do you think? Now that's it for this week's Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. Please continue to share, and if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Until then, I'm Franklin McKnight.